Live, getting results. You're watching News 6 at 6 a.m.
Now on the morning news, tragedy in the wake of Irma. 3 people are dead, including a child. 4 more are in the hospital. We are live with why deputies say poisoning is to blame.
And 2 days after Irma left Central Florida, families still evacuating, others being rescued where conditions are dangerous and keep getting worse.
Plus, millions of Floridians remain in the dark this morning as crews work tirelessly to restore power. We'll have the latest on outages in our area. We're glad you're with us on this Wednesday morning. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Justin Wormuth.
And I'm Kirsten O'Connor. Thanks for waking up with us.
I'm Bridget Ellison. Meteorologist Troy Bridges is here as well. Another good cleanup day.
Yes, we're not going to see big rain chances today at 20% or less. Now, we got plenty of rain. It certainly helped out, but it also led to the flooding. We do want to show you those rainfall amounts that we saw, of course, starting off with what's going on with Jose. Everyone's concerned. Jose's official track as of 5 o'clock this morning keeps it more than 300 miles away from us, even if it jogs all the way to the western side of this cone. It is a hurricane, Category 1, but likely weakening to a tropical storm as we head into the next couple of days and then moving on up closer to Bermuda. And the models are in all agreement. That's the good news. Now, here are those rain totals that we've seen. We still have a very slight deficit in Orlando because we didn't get any rain officially yesterday, but we had a major deficit for weeks and weeks. So that's pretty good. Look at this, a surplus of nearly 8 inches in Melbourne. So some much needed rain, but of course, many areas will be experiencing flooding in the next couple of days as more of those rivers rise as that runoff continues. We're at 72 right now in downtown Orlando, showing you the Orlando Health Cam. We're at 71 and Sanford 72 up in New Smyrna Beach. Getting up to 92 at 4 today with a 20% chance for rain, guys.
Thanks so much, Troy. Let's get a check of your time saver traffic brought to you by Napleton. Lots of people are heading back south after evacuating Irma. We know that, but it's a slow go for about 100 miles on I-75 from I-10 to the Turnpike. So that is going to be a long day ahead. Drivers will need to have a lot of patience as they're coming home, but things are a bit smoother on I-95 so far. You might want to check that if you haven't left yet. We want to remind you some traffic lights are still out this morning. Troopers are asking everyone to treat those intersections as 4-way stops. Try not to beep at everyone you see.
The aftermath of Hurricane Irma takes a tragic turn in Orange County. 3 people, including a child, are dead. 4 others are in the hospital, all from suffering from carbon monoxide poisoning from a generator they have been using since losing power. The discovery was made yesterday at a home on Eggleston Avenue, east of State Road 434. Mark Lehman's there live this morning in the neighborhood, and these deaths are now prompting another urgent plea about using generators safely.
Bridget, we heard that from Mayor Jacobs yesterday, and we hear that time and time again about just how deadly it can be to use a generator inside or even close to a home. Here is where everything happened yesterday and this morning. Take a look. You can see candles burning close to the front door of this home for the victims that were found inside.
When the deputy walked into the house, he was just completely overcome by the smell of gas in the house.
The sheriff's office making the discovery after a child called 911 Tuesday afternoon. Inside the home, deputies finding 2 people dead. Another collapsed on the front lawn and later died.
A couple of them had to be taken out, carried out, and doesn't really look really good right now.
4 others in the home, including children, are fighting for their lives after deputies say a generator was left running somewhere inside.
You know, we just seen these folks outside a couple days ago.
Neighbors say the family was often seen playing together and, like many, lost power during the storm. The deaths now serving as a tragic reminder in the wake of Hurricane Irma.
Just when you think, you know, you made it through the storm and whatnot, you got to be, you know, ready for anything. You know, you got to be cautious of any, you know, before, after, during.
And back out here live this morning, you can see the screen popped out of that window that was done to ventilate the home yesterday. Now, deputies say generators need to be at least 5 feet away from any doors or windows. Now, also, if you're concerned about theft being involved when using a generator, you can always chain it to a sturdy post or possibly a tree. But it's definitely important to follow those rules when it comes to generator safety. This morning, we're working to get an update on the conditions of the 4 people who who still remain hospitalized and hopefully get some good news on their conditions. Justin.
All right, Mark, thank you so much for that report. And this morning, those generators are still running in many neighborhoods as power companies work around the clock to get the lights back on. More than 4 million people in the state remain without power, including 900,000 right here in Central Florida. Right now, the worst is in Flagler County, where 60% of customers are still in the dark. Over half of Volusia County also remains without electricity. And the lack of power has been frustrating for so many, especially with the return of those hot temperatures. But power workers say they have to do the repair work in steps. They also have to stay safe at the same time.
It's frustrating, I know, for people to see the trucks go back and forth, but we're on the job. It's just part of it.
All right, so some companies are giving us a better idea of when folks will have power again. Florida Power and Light and Duke Energy both say everyone should have electricity by Sunday. OUC is aiming for Friday nights.
And besides the widespread power outages, some parts of Central Florida are still dealing with rising floodwaters from Irma.
Yeah, Shingle Creek in Osceola County has now reached what officials are calling historic flood levels. And with the water only expected to keep rising, hundreds are now being evacuated from their homes. Sashel Saunders is live along Pleasant Hill Road near Kissimmee this morning. In Sashel, a lot of these evacuations are happening at an assisted living facility.
Yeah, guys, there's an assisted living facility, as well as most of these people who live here are 55 and older, because this community is a 55 and older community. I want to show you this house where that water is just creeping up to the edge of the home, and right now it's saved. But the bad part is that water is supposed to keep rising.
Families along Shingle Creek who thought they'd cleared the worst of Hurricane Irma are now watching their lives float away.
I cried this morning.
The creek overflowing a day later into homes water deep enough to bring full-sized boats for rescues.
Me and my husband, we worked very hard for this, and it's our dream. We live in a beautiful home on the creek.
And there were hundreds of rescues. Most in the community are over 55, the most vulnerable in assisted living. Ambulances from as far away as the Carolinas were brought in to save them. Part of the problem is that floodgates need to be opened, but emergency officials say they've done as much as they can right now.
Don't worry about my neighbors. I've been here, I live here 14 years. And I never see it get that bad.
Now, officials say they've opened up floodgates, like I said, as much as they can at Lake Toho, but then further south is where more floodgates need to be opened to relieve this community. For now, though, as I said earlier, this water is going to keep rising, causing even more flooding and more problems in some areas already 5 feet deep. Reporting live near Shingle Creek, Sashel Saunders, News 6.
So much fear and frustration there, Sashel. Thanks. And an urgent warning this morning for a community in Lake County. Water levels are rising in Astor along the St. Johns River near the Volusia County line. News 6 was there yesterday as people work to get to higher ground. Residents in Astor are under a voluntary evacuation order. There's also a curfew from 9 p.m. to 7:30 in the morning. And sandbags are available at Fire Station 10 on State Road 40. We're continuing to keep a close eye on the situation there throughout the week.
Meanwhile, Orange County's Erlo Vista neighborhood is getting a better look at the damage as water levels start to go down. It is among the hardest hit local areas. Guardsmen alongside firefighters had to rescue some 200 families from their flooded homes on Monday. Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs says the flooding there is the worst that she's ever seen in the county. She also insists crews did everything they could to limit the damage before the storm. County officials say it will cost about $24 million to just clean up this mess.
And sadly, we're learning of more local deaths connected to Irma. Port Orange police say they found the body of a man who died during the storm. We're told 84-year-old Richard Dorfner was found in the Halifax River. Police say he was an avid fisherman and likely fell into the water while checking out conditions.
And troopers are telling us about a storm-related death in Marion County, just south of Bellevue. We're told 2 drivers tried to go through an intersection along 301 where a light was out, and the cars crashed into each other, killing a 59-year-old man from Mississippi. And the other driver, a man from Polk County, was not hurt.
Now, some good news and some bad news when it comes to gas station. The good news, more and more are opening, but the bad news is that fuel remains in short supply in some areas. Take a look at this video from Wildwood yesterday. Just a line of cars stretching for more than a mile, just waiting to get gas at that station right off I-75. Some waited for more than 2 hours just to fill up.
This one is the only gas station that has not ran out since like Thursday, and this road has like been backed up since Thursday. It's ridiculous. It's a mess.
All right, so there may be some relief. The Port of Tampa reopened yesterday and is set to get 10 tanker ships in the next 48 hours.
And today will be another day with no school across Central Florida. All public schools are again closed. Orange County says it will also be closed tomorrow. Seminole and Marion counties say they won't start classes again until Monday. Brevard County schools remain closed until further notice. And one more note, UCF says its classes will pick back up on Monday.
It is just a mess in a lot of parts of our community, and that's heartbreaking for a lot of us. Troy, what is leading to this flooding?
Well, you know, we had all that heavy rain, and now the runoff from that rain is really filling up a lot of our rivers, waterways. So even though we're not seeing much rain today, we do expect more flooding because of that runoff action. So here are those issues close to the St. Johns River. Cocoa, near the St. Johns River, right there seeing rain, the flood waters up to 16 feet. That's going to be the St. Johns River near Cocoa. 5 feet near Sanford, just more than 4 feet in DeLand, and there in Astor, as we were talking about, more than 4 feet is the St. Johns River near Astor. So major flooding possible in that region, and many other areas could see water getting very close to their homes as we see more of these waters rising in the St. Johns River. Other waterways as well. We're going to keep on top of that, so be careful if you're outside and you see those waters rising. Ocala right now at 64, so cooler in our northern zones. Many other spots starting off in the 70s, but we're headed well into the 90s. 92 in Orlando, 90 at Cocoa Beach today, and 91 in the Villages. So without air, it will be even hotter. It will be brutal today. Tonight, temperatures in the 80s as late as 11 o'clock. Coming up, we will talk about an increased chance for rain tomorrow. Will it cool us down? Not so much. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Troy. It's 6:11. Coming up here on the Morning News, one local hotspot won't see boats for a while.
Yeah, the popular watering hole that's dealing with just too much water.
Plus, one local family's little miracle will have their reaction to the sudden turn during their evacuation.
You're watching News 6 Mornings and a live look from the Orlando Health Camera. During a break, join us for a live chat at facebook.com/news6.
Live with Bridget Ellison, Justin Warman, Kirsten O'Connor, meteorologist Troy Bridges, and traffic with Amy Biondello. This is the News 6 Morning News, getting results.
Major problems continue to plague South Florida this morning, especially in the Keys.
Yeah, it's hard to look at, Justin. The situation's so grim right now.
It really is, Bridget. The images there are just gripping. 25% of all homes are completely gone. Think about that, 25%. Most others are just badly damaged. There's no water, no power, no sewer service, and no cell towers. Internet service and even landlines are spotty. The Emergency Operations Center is rationing water and allowing people to use a trickle for 2 hours each morning. But the water is not drinkable. One man who stayed through the storm describes what he felt as Irma came through.
My buddy was watching that door and I was watching this door just in case of any debris so we could go out there and get it out so we have room to get out of here.
Like, what did it sound like?
Oh man, it sounded like a freight train.
We're told some people still aren't being allowed back into their neighborhoods. Emergency workers are handing out ready-to-eat meals to people who have returned, though.
And new this morning, we're getting our first look at some damage by Irma in the Zellwood community. This is near Apopka in Orange County in the 55 and older Zellwood Estates neighborhood. You can see roofs on the ground, entire homes leveled. There's no word yet on how many homes were damaged there, but our crews spotted problems throughout the community.
Right now, a popular spot for people to enjoy the water is closed. Officials at Wekiva Island say there's some serious flooding there. Let's take a look at it. These are some pictures they sent us. You can see standing water kind of all around that area. We're told the 2,000 square foot recreation complex has serious damage as well. The island's owners are asking everyone to stay off the property until they're back open, and there's no word yet on when that's going to happen.
All right, so as Irma approached, some families left Florida to escape the storm, of course.
Yeah, and they include one local family that expanded while they were in Kentucky.
Let's see them. Erica and Daniel Tobin and their 2 kids evacuated their Deltona home, and now the couple has 3 kids.
Aww,
what a sweetie pie. Erica was 9 months pregnant when the family headed for Ohio. I respect her so much. I just can't believe she was 9 months pregnant at the time. But Erica went into labor in Lexington, Kentucky, and now little Olivia will have a special story to tell.
They ran up to help. They didn't step up. They ran up with open arms and open hearts.
The Tobins say neighbors in Deltona checked on their home, and there doesn't appear to be any significant damage. That's good. They probably have all that baby furniture and all of those boxes of things.
Just think about driving as they evacuate, right? There's all that traffic and that stop and go.
That would be the scariest thing.
And you're just on your mind, you're just like, don't let it happen now.
No.
This is not the time and place, little Olivia. Okay, just hang on until we get to Lexington, Kentucky.
Of course, they didn't name her Irma, but we feel bad for all the Irmas.
There might be some Irmas coming 9 months from now.
Maybe. Yeah. But there are a lot of wonderful Irmas out there, I'm sure. So we say to the Irmas, we hate that this storm got your name. I would hate for a storm like that to have my name. Anyway, we are watching the next named storm. That's Jose, and everyone was asking over the past couple of days what that track looks like. So we're going to keep updating you. This is the official track as of 5 o'clock this morning, and it continues on that trend, keeping it off to the north and east and away from the U.S. altogether. Right now, a Category 1 hurricane, but soon to be weakening to a tropical storm, heading closer to Bermuda. The models are in good agreement. Yesterday, we did watch that European model. It was an outlier trying to bring it closer to Florida. Now it's got its act together. I got a hammer to that computer, and now this thing is staying away. And we can rest assured that we're not going to be dealing with much of any of those concerns, any concern from Jose at all. And really nothing out there in the Atlantic to watch right now. Of course, we're just now in the peak of the season, so we have to watch for more development. The big story right now out the door, it's cool in spots. We're at 64 in Ocala, 68 at the Villages, 72 in Orlando, 77 right now at Cocoa Beach, and 72 in Daytona Beach. But here's a look at the big warm-up with your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Your forecast brought to you by Del Air Heating and Air Conditioning.
We really do feel for the people without air conditioning because the heat will be even a bigger story today, getting up to 88 as early as noon. That was our afternoon high yesterday. Today we're going above that to 92 at 4 o'clock with the rain chances only at 20%. We can't rule out a little bit of a shower or two as we have a little bit more moisture working in with a light south wind into the afternoon today. But really no big concern with rain for all the cleanup efforts going on across Central Florida. Here's another problem. Without air conditioning, temperatures at 80 degrees as late as 11. Hard to sleep in that. It will be tough. Let's hope you get your power on soon. Now, we are going to be dealing with a couple of showers, a few clouds here and there, but not much at all. As we take you through the clouds and rain forecast, the green dots indicating 1 or 2 showers. Overnight into the early morning hours, we can't rule out a couple of showers trying to fire up. But again, the big story today will be those hot temperatures. The average high is 91. We're close to that in most spots. Leesburg at 92 by 4, 88 in Ocala, 90 in Melbourne, 89 in Daytona Beach, and 91 in Sanford. Now here's a look at the 7-day forecast. And we do bump rain chances up as we head into tomorrow and Friday. 60% Thursday, 50% on Friday. So that will be an issue for folks still trying to get that big mess cleaned up. Look at the temperatures, guys. Up to 93 on Thursday, 91 on Friday. No big relief, even though we'll get rain. We need some relief until we get that air conditioning on. Back to you.
We're thinking about you folks without power. Hang in there. Let's get a check of your time saver traffic brought to you by Napleton. It is slow on I-75 south from I-10 to the Turnpike. We're talking about a 100-mile stretch there with slowdown. So drivers are asked to just take their time as they come home from Irma. We'll continue to keep an eye on our interstates throughout the morning.
Well, the time right now is 6:21. Ahead on the morning news, some local businesses are trying to get results for those who are still without power.
Yeah, where you can get cleaned up and get your phone charged, all for free.
And it's a frequently asked question. What about theme parks? We break down which ones you can visit and what's still closed. Welcome back. We're getting a closer look this morning at damage across Lake County. The county's Emergency Management Division posted new pictures to Facebook and scenes like this one in Claremont where trees were uprooted and covered cars and buildings, and this is widespread. We're also seeing pictures out of Leesburg and Eustis along with images from Tavares. We showed you some of these yesterday morning. Like other parts of Central Florida, the damage ranges from down power lines and trees to problems on roads and sidewalks.
We've gotten a lot of questions over the last few days about our theme park, so let's give you a look at where they stand this morning. Sky 6 flying over the Magic Kingdom yesterday after it reopened for the first time since the storm. Crowds there much lighter than normal. Some attractions will take a few more days to clean up though, and those remain closed. Sky 6 also spotted lower than normal crowds at Disney's other theme parks. At Epcot, the new Frozen ride which normally sees 2-hour waits, was down to 30 minutes. And at Disney's Hollywood Studios, it appears storm preps prevented any major damage to the 2 new lands that are under construction. As for SeaWorld, their marine biologists say all of their animals survived the storm. SeaWorld Orlando and Aquatica will open today, by the way. Discovery Cove should reopen Friday. Universal is also back open.
And businesses and organizations across Central Florida are getting results for those still without power and water. Several local YMCAs are open for anyone who needs a hot shower, AC, or you just need to charge your cell phone, tablet, whatever you need to charge. 5 of them are in Orange County, including Avalon Park, iDrive, Blanchard Park, Dr. Phillips, and Winter Park. 3 other YMCAs are also open to the public right now. 2 are in Brevard County, and another one is in Seminole County. And even more of these locations are going to open up. They just don't have power and running water themselves. So once they're restored, they will open.
I'm singing that song in my head. You can get yourself clean and have a good meal.
There you go.
In Orange County, along University Boulevard, the gym Hard Exercise Works is allowing people who don't have power to come in and charge up their phones and take a shower. The owners say they just want to help out the community. And this morning at 9, there will be free water at 7-Eleven on 434 next to I-4 in Longwood. And free ice will be given out at the store on Osceola Polk Line Road in Davenport. It's first come, first serve while supplies last. And again, that starts at 9. It's good to see everybody pulling together.
Have to.
Help out your neighbor. Yeah, still to help get results.
The big show that's helping storm victims as they slowly recover.
Plus a sad scene after the storm. 3 people are dead, 4 more hospitalized. The live update on the poisoning deputies say is to blame.
Live, this is News 6.
It does not look good. It does not look good right now.
3 people dead, 4 others fighting for their lives in the aftermath of Irma. The urgent warning being put out about using generators safely following the storm.
Plus, hundreds forced from their homes because of rising water. The impact Irma's having on local rivers and lakes.
And cleaning up after the storm, how homes and businesses are picking up the pieces after Irma toppled trees and tore roofs off homes. Good morning, Central Florida. The time now is 6:30. I'm Justin Mormon.
And I'm Kirsten O'Connor. Thanks for staying with us.
I'm Bridget Ellison. Those stories are more ahead, but we start with your pinpoint weather and meteorologist Troy Bridges. Today will be another hot one, but at least another good day for cleanup.
That's right. Not much rain in the forecast. Now, you're probably wondering why we're seeing flooding without additional rain. It's all because we had so much rain, it ran off, and now it's into some of those waterways, including many of our rivers. And that's why we'll see more of those rivers rising as that runoff continues to happen, and flooding will continue. But the good news is we're not going to see much at all in the way of rain today if you've got some cleanup to do, and I'm sure you do. 72 is the temperature right now as we show you the Orlando Health camera in downtown Orlando, looking good and dry. Cool in our northwestern zones right now at 64 in Ocala, 68 in the Villages, 71 in Sanford, 77 at Cocoa Beach. So at least the folks who maybe without power in Ocala will be a little bit more comfortable in those 60s rather than the 80s that we will likely see overnight tonight in many spots, including Orlando. But look, we get up to 88 at noon today. That was yesterday's afternoon high. So we're going above it to 92 at 4 o'clock with only a 20% coverage of a couple of showers. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Troy. We're going to get a check of your time saver traffic now, brought to you by Napleton. Keeping a close eye this morning on all of your major roadways. Troopers are working a crash on I-95 North, just south of West Main Street, but we're told it's not blocking any lanes, so just be careful if you're headed in that direction. We're also seeing delays on I-75 South as a lot of people who evacuated from Irma are heading home.
And tragic news this morning after the storm. 3 people are dead, another 4 clinging to life after suffering carbon monoxide poisoning. Deputies say a generator running inside their Orange County home is to blame. Our Mark Lehman joins us live from Eggleston Drive, where this all happened. And Mark, deputies are pleading with people to be so careful with these generators.
Yeah, and we've all heard that warning before about just how dangerous it is to use generators inside or even close to doors or windows. Now, unfortunately, we have another tragic situation. The deaths at this home coming just a day after Hurricane Irma hit Central Florida.
Just when you think, you know, you made it through the storm and whatnot, you got to be you got to be, you know, ready for anything. You know, you got to be cautious of any, you know, before, after, during.
Neighbors along Eggleston Avenue are left in disbelief after a tragic discovery at a nearby home. Deputies say 2 people were found dead inside and a third collapsed on the front lawn and later died.
When the deputy walked into the house, he was just completely overcome by the smell of gas in the house.
Investigators say it was a generator left running in the home that built up carbon monoxide.
It's probably in there right now. I do not know what state that generator is in, if it's out of gas or where it is, but apparently it was running, and it was running inside the house at some point, either during the night or during the day today.
4 others were also found passed out inside and rushed to the hospital. At this point, all are fighting to stay alive.
A couple of them had to be taken out, carried out, and doesn't really look really good right now.
And this morning, you can see candles burning for the victims in this tragedy. This morning, we're working to get an update on the condition of the 4 people who were taken to the hospital, hopefully getting some good news on that front. Also, a deputy was treated out here for inhaling the noxious fumes right after he arrived on scene, but he is expected to be okay, Justin.
Mark Lehman live for us. Thank you, Mark. Meantime, in Brevard County, 8 people had to be rushed to the hospital after suffering carbon monoxide poisoning at a home in Titusville. Investigators say the family left the generator running inside the garage at the home on Gale Avenue. One of the victims says he was afraid someone may steal it, so he put it in the garage and then went to bed. In Polk County, officials are also warning about generator use after they had 2 separate incidents of people getting sick. They say in each case, generators were being used in a closed garage.
Rising creeks and rivers are leading to a host of new problems in the aftermath of Irma. This is Osceola County, where hundreds have had to be evacuated after water started rushing into their retirement community, and the problem is only going to get worse. Let me show you where this is happening. It's in the Good Samaritan Society's Kissimmee Village, which you can see is just south of Shingle Creek. Sashel Saunders is there this morning, and she will let us know what's going on.
Boats and ambulances, some from as far as South Carolina, were brought in for mass rescues from the Shingle Creek neighborhood and an assisted living facility, along with other neighborhood homes that are underwater.
Don't worry about my neighbors. I've been here, I live here 14 years, and I never see it get that bad.
Floodgates are being blamed for water that has spilled from Shingle Creek. Neighbors say open them more. Emergency officials say they're open as much as they can right now.
If it's their gates, open the gates.
At first, the neighborhood was fine when Irma swept through. Then the water kept rising, in some spots more than 5 feet deep, and it's not done. The flooding being called historic. Families say they're losing everything.
Me and my husband, we worked very hard for this, and it's our dream. We live in a beautiful home on the creek.
That was Sashel Saunders, and it's a similar scene in Seminole County where dozens were forced out of their homes due to flooding, and officials say it could be days before the water recedes. So far, 59 people and 16 pets have been evacuated from Oak Springs in Altamont Springs near the Little Wekiva River. Others are choosing to stay, but officials say they're ready to get them if they decide to leave.
We are going to continue the efforts. Every day we'll be checking in and making sure that the residents are comfortable if they want to leave at that point.
Officials say it appears as many as 100 homes in that particular neighborhood have been damaged by floodwaters. Meantime, other parts of Central Florida are just drying out after Irma. This neighborhood in Edgewater flooded earlier this week from storm surge from the Indian River. The water has gone down now, but people say there's another problem. Water moccasins. They've been spotted all over the community, displaced by Irma.
Incredible. A similar situation in Brevard County. 2 people in this Barefoot Bay neighborhood ended up trapped after floodwaters surrounded their homes. Some say they couldn't even get outside to get a good look at the damage until just yesterday, but they're now starting to clean up. And we mentioned earlier that schools are closed again today. We'll tell you again, though, parents, this is going to affect a lot of you. Some still don't have power. Others, like West Orange High School, have some cleanup after a set of stadium lights came crashing down on the bleachers. Yikes. Sky 6 also saw a similar scene at Apopka High. So far, plans for this week's high school football games have not been announced.
As if hurricane victims didn't have enough to deal with, 3 men in Volusia County are facing charges after police say they caught them looting a beachside business during the storm. Investigators tell us they caught the trio stealing sunglasses and t-shirts from the Ocean Club gift shop in Daytona Beach. Officers say they were patrolling during the mandatory curfew when they caught Herbert Foster and Vernon Goodson red-handed. Moments later, they arrested a third man, Dakota Lovell.
They come and they loot and they break in and stuff knowing they can get away with it because there's no power or cameras to catch them.
The owner of the Ocean Club told investigators in addition to merchandise, $500 was missing from the cash register.
In just hours, Flagler County is expected to open an assistance center to help people hit hard by Irma. For many, this is actually the second time in a year that they've had to deal with a bad storm. So we met one of those couples who is going to rebuild again after losing their home to Hurricane Matthew last year. This time, Irma left their house flooded and full of mold. They tell us they just remodeled it, and now they say they're going to rip it down and start all over again.
And when people say, how come people stay at these places because they know it's going to happen again, you get to love the place, you get to love the people, and you're not leaving.
That assistance center to help people like the Clays, who you just heard from, will be located at the Palm Coast Branch Library and will be open today through Friday from 9 until 6 p.m.
President Trump says he'll visit Florida tomorrow to see the devastation from Irma firsthand. He'll be joined by the First Lady as well as Vice President Mike Pence and his wife. The exact details of the visit, including where they will be, have not been released yet. Our coverage on the aftermath of Irma continues right now on our website. There you'll find the very latest information about power outages, school closures, and generator safety. Head to clickorlando.com, click the After Irma banner at the top of the page.
The time now is 6:39. Let's take a second to thank all the first responders and the power companies who are working these long shifts to get the power back on, keep us safe. And Troy's here now, and it seems like that each day that goes by, Troy, another neighborhood floods.
Yeah, and a lot of people are wondering why, because we're not seeing a whole bunch of additional rain. It's because we had so much all at once. It really did fill up a lot of those waterways, a lot of our rivers, seeing it really run off into those rivers. And as we see more of that runoff happening in the coming hours and days, we will see the chance for more flooding. Look, the St. Johns River is up to nearly 16.5 feet near Cocoa. Right there at 5 feet near Sanford, also DeLand at 4.5 feet near DeLand. And then Astor could see major flooding within the next couple of hours as we see the St. Johns River up more than 4 feet, close to 4.5 feet, approaching that again near Astor. So some real concerns with that flood stage going up as we continue to see those flood waters rise as those waters run off from the land and then move into many of those waterways. The good news is we do see some cooler temperatures in northern zones. Ocala right now at 64. It's 72 in Orlando, so not as hot to start, but look where we're headed. The 90s in most spots. Upper 80s to 90 along the coast inland, the low to mid 90s. Guys, the heat will be a big factor for the folks without air conditioning even late tonight. Yeah.
They get a pass for complaining.
They do. They can. They can, because it is not fun. A star-studded benefit to help the victims of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma.
Yeah, the beautiful show last night. How celebrities came together to help get results for those who lost everything in the storms.
Plus, returning home after Irma, how one Key Largo family who evacuated to Central Florida is preparing themselves for the widespread damage.
And the governor gets a first-hand look at historic flooding in North Florida, what he did while visiting Jacksonville, and the message he has for the states.
You're watching News 6 Mornings, getting results.
Live with Bridget Ellison, Justin Warmoth, Kirsten O'Connor, meteorologist Troy Bridges, and traffic with Amy Biondello. This is the News 6 Morning News, getting results.
Irma has left a trail of damage across the state, and one of the hardest hit areas is hundreds of miles away from where the storm made landfall. Jacksonville suffered widespread damage. High winds tore roofs off of buildings and homes, and record flooding led to more than 350 rescues. Governor Rick Scott saw the damage firsthand yesterday, touring the area on board a National Guard helicopter, and afterward he visited a local shelter, met with volunteers, including former Gators quarterback Tim Tebow. The governor vowed the state will get past this devastation.
But everybody's going to come together. We're going to, get this state rebuilt. And this state is a state of strong, resilient people, and we're going to get our jobs back. We're going to help build our companies again, and then we're going to get this all cleaned up and hopefully get more tourists back in our state and get everybody back.
The governor's office says more than 400 shelters are still open throughout the state with about 94,000 evacuees.
And as Irma approached Florida, hundreds evacuated here to Central Florida. And now in just hours, one family from Key Largo will make the arduous journey back home. The Matthews live in one of the hardest hit areas. They're unsure of what they could find when they get back. For the past several days, they've been staying with friends here in Orlando. And now they say getting back to reality could be the hardest part yet.
You know, our biggest thing is the anxiety of not knowing what our homes are like.
We're all looking after each other and just taking it day by day.
That's all you can do. The Matthews say they're preparing for the worst and say no matter the outcome, they will rebuild.
Orlando International Airport is accepting more flights today as it works to get back up to speed. The airport reopened yesterday with limited flights, however. Officials tell us the main terminal, TSA checkpoints, and all 3 runways are good to go. They're all open. That's good news for millions who evacuated the state and are now having a difficult time getting back home.
It's a mess for everybody involved. There's nothing you can do about it.
We don't know what time we're getting back yet. We had a flight today to Atlanta, but our connection flight to Orlando got canceled.
Airline officials say Irma is to blame for up to 10,000 cancellations across the country.
In days after Irma, there's an urgent call for blood donations. One Blood has resumed collections and is urging those able to give to do so. Right now, the most urgent need is for platelet donors and those with O-negative blood. However, all blood types are able to donate. Irma forced One Blood to suspend operations for 3 days, and they were trying to build up in the days beforehand.
They knew this was going to happen.
Because they were going to have to close during the storm. Well, both Hurricane Irma and Hurricane Harvey have taken a toll on millions of people. And last night, victims got a little encouragement from some big celebrities.
All the performances were really awesome. Big names from music, movies, TV gathered for Hand in Hand, a benefit for hurricane relief. It was a telethon aimed at raising money for victims of both hurricanes.
The show was packed with performances who then manned the phone bank. They were all out there speaking to those who called to make donations. The benefit raised more than $14.5 million. Unfortunately for Troy, Oprah did not answer his calls.
He tried, though. He tried to get through.
16 times Troy called for Oprah. We don't want to throw him under the bus, but he did.
Not just us dealing with Irma and the aftermath, it's also taking a toll on animals across the state, with some getting a little lost after the storm.
Yeah, I would be too. Take a look at this gator. Ended up in the backyard in a swimming pool. Oh.
That's where they like to go.
Whoa. Police were called in to wrangle the reptile who didn't seem to want to leave.
Yeah, it's probably nice. The water feels good on him, right? We're told the gator avoided capture several times. He was eventually caught with a pool net, though. You can see him fishing him out there. The officers joked that they charged the gator with a little trespassing, fined him a little bit.
He's probably a little freaked out after all the stuff that had happened.
Yeah, you got to think the winds are blowing there.
Maybe between that and the water moccasins on
it's
the
everywhere. It's a menagerie. It's a menagerie on a normal
That's why they
day.
ask you not to walk through floodwaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you don't know what's down there.
And we have some storm pins of some folks trying to have some fun. I know you want to get out and try to have some fun with the kids. The kids probably
fishing
want to.
or
I'm going to show you one of those in just a little bit. We got a lot of storm pin photos in. Of course, a lot of damage with trees down, and that's why a lot of folks are without power. We'd love to see your photos. Hopefully, you're getting it cleaned up, though. I know you still have a lot to do. Today's weather will cooperate. You can pin your photos. Search WKMG in the App Store. It's called News 6 Storm Pins, and it's all free. This is a photo from Betty Boop in Winter Park. This is Irma taking out her dear old oak tree and her fence. So a lot of trees were down. This is terrible. And Coco, that tree fell right on that RV. And then here's that picture of people trying to at least have some fun fishing in that water. I don't know how healthy those fish are. Swimming in whatever is floating in that water. Also debris. Now we will see the chance for more flooding as we head into the next several hours, likely the next few days, as we see more of that runoff from the rain that Irma brought. But we do draw your attention to Jose. Everyone wants to know what's going on with that track. Well, here's the good news. We can set your mind at ease. The models are in agreement with this track that it would move off to the north and east, possibly impacting Bermuda, but staying far away from the U.S. altogether. It's a Category 1 hurricane, but likely weakening to a tropical storm into the afternoon today or likely the next couple of days. There are the models. Even that outlier, the European, has begun to push farther off to the east. east, agreeing more with the others that it will stay away. So again, we can breathe a sigh of relief, and there's really nothing else out there that we're watching. But as soon as we see something fire up, we'll let you know. This morning, some good news for folks in northern and northwestern zones. It's a little cooler. Of course, if you're without power, that may make it a little comfortable at night and into the early morning. We're at 64 in Ocala, 68 in the Villages. It's 72 in Orlando. Right now, 68 at New Smyrna Beach and 72 in Daytona Beach. Brevard County, many spots in the upper 70s, 77 at Cocoa Beach. But here's a look at that pinpoint accurate forecast for today, and we're heating up quickly. Yesterday's high was 88. We're going to reach that at noon, and then we go up to 92 at 4 o'clock with only a 20% coverage of rain. 1 or 2 showers to deal with, and that will be it. So if you've got a lot to do outdoors, it won't be a bad day for it except for that heat. Now look at the temperatures. Without air conditioning tonight, it's going to be hard to sleep again. We're at 81 as late as 10 o'clock, staying near 80 as we head into 11 o'clock. There's the clouds and rain forecast. A couple of green dots here. That east coast sea breeze trying to push in. We can't rule out a few of those showers even into the early morning hours tomorrow, but not much rain. There are the highs today. Upper 80s near 90 along the coast. Inland a touch warmer, trying to approach the mid 90s, but most areas staying in the low 90s. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. And notice rain chances do go up tomorrow. That could hamper some of those outdoor plans to clean up. A 60% coverage of rain Thursday, 50% on Friday. And look at those temperatures, up to 93 on Thursday. No big relief in sight, even with those rain chances. Guys, back to you.
Troy, thanks. Let's get a check of your time saver traffic brought to you by Napleton. Right now, no major accidents or delays in Central Florida. However, troopers are again reminding folks about traffic lights, several still out, caused by Hurricane Irma. Treat those as 4-way stops. Flip back to that driver's ed handbook if you need to. One of those spots, West Oak Ridge Road at John Young Parkway, but those power companies have been working around the clock, and we want to thank them for that because it is widespread out there and pretty dangerous.
Yeah, most definitely. And still to come on the morning news, a check of the big stories in the aftermath of Irma.
Yeah, we'll have more on 3 people who died, 4 others hospitalized after a family gets carbon monoxide poisoning. We'll tell you how deputies say it happened. It is 6:55. If you're on your way out, let's get you up to date on what you need to know in the aftermath of Irma. We start with Mark Lehman in Orange County.
Kirsten, authorities are putting out an urgent warning when it comes to generators after 3 people were killed inside this home near Eatonville. The victims, including a juvenile, were overcome by carbon monoxide poisoning after running that generator inside. 4 other people were rushed to the hospital in very bad shape. And breaking news, just within the past few minutes, we're learning that there is another death in Daytona Beach and 3 others were hospitalized after running a generator inside of the home. We'll have much more information on that on clickorlando.com and also throughout the day here on News 6. Bridget.
Gosh, we hate to hear that, Mark. Thank you. And there are worries flooding in Osceola County that it will only get worse in the aftermath of Irma. Hundreds had to be evacuated yesterday after Shingle Creek started rushing into a retirement community off of Pleasant Hill Road south of Kissimmee. The creek is one of several local waterways being closely watched.
Nearly 900,000 Central Floridians remain in the dark this morning. Duke, FP&L, and OUC say almost everyone should have power back on by the end of the weekend, hopefully. Also today will be another day with no school across Central Florida. And overnight, we've seen backups along I-75 as evacuees head back home after the storm. Troy.
We are going to be heating up. 92 for the high, so brutal for the folks without air conditioning. We do feel for you.
Unbelievable.
Sure. Try to find somewhere to cool off.
Yeah, please do. Thanks for joining us this morning.
When you're on the go, you can get more updates on clickorlando.com.
See ya.